Alright, part 2 of showing off my elf tribal version of Karrthus, Tyrant of Jund. Let's keep it going. Viridian Shaman, 2 for a 2/1 elf warrior. I can spend his, one colorless, 1 green, almost his casting cost, to destroy an artifact or enchantment. Wellwisher, so I can get some life. She taps for 1 life for every elf on the battlefield, whether or not I control them. Sometimes other people like playing elves. They're kind of popular. Here is the other more than 3 casting cost elf I've allowed myself in this deck. So Wirewood Channeler, add X amount of mana of any color to my mana pool, where X is the amount of elves in play. So he's a 2/2. Of course, it all has to be a mono color, so I can tap him for black, and it would all be black, whatever number of elves I have. And then I can untap him, say if I have Tyvar Kell or Wirewood Lodge, and then tap him again and get X mana of another color. Be kind of cool if I could change it on the fly. Say I've got 10 elves, I can get 3 green, 3 black, 4 red, but can't do that. Wood Elves, 2, 1 green. For an elf scout that goes and finds me a forest. Any forest. It can be a shock land, can be a dual land, can be a Yomama land, if they have a Yomama forest. Which, oddly enough, Wizards has never printed. Anyway, this is the key card in the deck. This is the absolute key card I am relying on getting into play and finding to just dump my hand. So the magical Christmas land is to have cast Gifts and Given, or to have Vanquisher's Banner in play, get a Learn in play, cast an elf, draw a card, cast out that elf for free, draw a card, cast out that elf for free, draw a card. Keep going until I don't get any more elves, and then scroll rack away whatever I can't cast, and then dump the rest of the elves. Trigger Sarkhan Vol, or trigger, who else gives them all haste that I have in here? Give them all haste. If I have another way besides Sarkhan Vol of giving them haste, give them all haste and just smash. I try to make the deck very fast in order to achieve this goal, because previous iterations playing a bunch of elves, especially the first version that was half dragons, half mana dork elves, and the idea was the elves would give me the mana to cast dragons. That didn't work. So then I went all in elves, with the only dragons being Karrthus himself and a Terror of the Peaks. That didn't work because I got choked out by not having enough draw a card effects and the creature comes into play, and I had too many elves that were more than 3, so I couldn't learn them into play. So I'll see if I've corrected those mistakes. So to give them all haste, Concordant Crossroads, this is a risk because all my opponents get advantage off it too. If it's too much of a risk, I'll replace it for a Fervor, which is the same card in red, except it costs 2 colorless and 1 red, and it's only my creatures. So it's slower to cast, but it only affects my creatures. But I think Concordant Crossroads will suit me down to the ground. Dictate of Erebos, anytime you're playing creatures, they will get killed. So it's kind of nice to have some way of making your opponents either think twice about it or get punished for it. Pernicious Deed, this is one of the reasons I'm thinking about putting in that Nisa, I forget which one it is, the one that can return permanents to the battlefield. There's a 5 casting cost Nisa, her neg2 is return target permanent card from your graveyard to the battlefield. As it is, Pernicious Deed is 1 use, I have no way of recovering it once I trigger it. Price of Glory. I'm not sure if this is going to work. I've put it in the deck before in different versions, but always took it out for something else before actually playing it. This time I'm going to force myself to play it and see if it works. So for 2 colors and a red, whenever a player taps a land for mana on another player's turn, destroy that land. With all my elves, I shouldn't suffer this myself. My opponents, especially anybody holding up a counterspell, they should suffer for this. The thing is, there are so many people playing mana rocks of all different arcane signet, talismans, gilded lotus. What else is there? Dark steel ingot. So many different ways of getting that mana, even in a deck with colors that do not have mana dorks. I don't know if this is going to really slow my opponents down on my turn or not, on other people's turns. So I'll see. I'll give it a go. If it doesn't work, I'll just replace it with the Hall of Gemstone, which definitely does work. So Hall of Gemstone, for those of you that don't know, it's a 1 casting cost. It has 1 colorless, green, 3 casting cost enchantment. During everybody's upkeep, they choose a color. Lands only produce that color. So if during my upkeep, I choose green, everybody else's lands during my turn produce green. The next player, if he chooses blue, everybody's lands produce blue. So it chokes people out. It slows down 3-color decks. Given all my elves, I shouldn't have much to worry about. So if Price of Glory does not work, Hall of Gemstone it is. Prowess of the Fair. This is a parallel to Call Out of the Claw. So whenever a non-token elf I control dies, I get a 1/1 green elf warrior token. Should keep things going. Beacon of Destruction. I wanted some direct damage, some way of taking out threats without just resorting to to murder or terror or any other. Okay, the name escapes me right now. For God's sake. 1 casting cost, 2 black Phyrexian mana. Target creature gets -5 till end of turn. Anyway, it's an instant, and I just cannot remember the damn name. So I've got Beacon of Destruction, 1 for the pinpoint removal, 2 because it gets shuffled back in my library so I can draw it again, inshallah, and keep going. Heroic Intervention to protect all my creatures and permanents. So if somebody's going to Wrath of God or Blasphemous Act, do anything nasty to me, I can protect all my creatures and other permanents. So they gain hexproof and indestructible. Putrefy. So this is one bit of pinpoint removal I have. 1 colorless, green, and 1 black. Destroy target creature or artifact. It cannot regenerate. Bury it. I just like this version. And it was cheap. I'm surprised how cheap these Mystical Archive cards are. It's nice because it makes them easy to collect, easy to acquire. Of course, it doesn't say much about the future value if I ever decide to sell them, but that's neither here nor there right now. Okay, Vampiric Tutor. This is really the second copy of Alurin. That's why it's in here. Otherwise, I really wouldn't want to have an unrestricted tutor in this deck, but I kind of need that Alurin. Black for an instant, pay 2 life, search my library for any 1 card, shuffle it afterwards, put that card on top of my library. The reason I chose Vampiric Tutor over Demonic Tutor is because it will be faster. Into somebody's turn, I can Vampiric Tutor, draw the card with freshly untapped mana rather than on my turn, tap 2 for the Demonic Tutor, and then I'm down 2 mana on my turn. Sometimes that can be a problem. Another way of defending on my creatures if they get hit by a board wipe. So 1 colorless, 1 green, regenerate each creature you control. Pretty simple. Clan Defiance. So X for green-red, choose one or more. Does X damage target creature with flying, or target creature without flying, or target player, or all three. And you don't have to pay any more for all three. I mean, Fireball. I remember Fireball when it came out, and you'd have to pay mana every time you wanted to split the damn thing. And now we have Clan Defiance. Go find some forests, 2 and a green. Search and library 2 forest cards, put them in my hand, and shuffle after. Genesis Wave. This could get interesting. It could also prove to be completely redundant if I get the Allurn out reliably. So 3 green X, reveal the top X cards in my library, and I can throw any number of permanent cards with converted X or less onto the battlefield. And then everything else gets shuffled back in. Glimpse of Nature. So this is here to, if I've got a Allurn out, get it going to where every time I toss a creature out, I draw a card. What would be really beautiful is to have Vanquisher's Banner, cast Glimpse of Nature, and then draw 2 cards for every creature I play. But we'll see if I ever actually do it. Lavaland, I just love this card. I just like the way it looks. I like the idea of it. It's never actually worked for me, but I like the idea of it. X, Jund colors. Lavalanche deals X damage target player and every creature he or she controls. Maelstrom Pulse. Anti-token control. Destroy target non-land permanent and all the permanents with the same name as that permanent for the low cost of 1. 1 black and 1 green. Nature's Lore, go find a forest. Put it in my hand. Patriarch's Bidding, another protection against board wipes. So if I get wiped, I can bring everybody back so they can return to battle. Okay, Attempt with Discovery. This is great. 4, 3 green, 3 colors, 1 green. Go find a land. If anybody wants to do it too, go find a land for everybody else that did. There's always at least one other guy that says, I need another land. I'm going to do it. And everybody else says, no, don't do it. Don't do it. But he does it. So then somebody else does it. So then I usually get 3 or 4 lands off this. Whatever I want, just come into play. Beautiful. 3 visits. So I put I put a number of fine land cards in this deck because I'm only running 35 lands. It's a risk, but it's one I'm willing to take. Search for a forest card, could be any forest card, dual land, shock land, doesn't matter. Put it on the battlefield in the shuffle. So putting it onto the battlefield, that's key. Wheel of Fortune. Everybody discards their hand and draw 7 new cards for the low price of 2 colors and a red. Winds of Change. So if I do not get a scroll rack or a top and I need to shuffle back things that I cannot cast, this will allow me to do it. It can also prove to be redundant, one of the 3. Maybe I don't need top, Winds of Change, and scroll rack. Maybe I can take something out, but I'll test it and find out. Alright, let's look at the lands. So, Bayou. I only have 2 dual lands. I have Bayou and Taiga. It'd be nice to have bad lands, but I don't need it, and I don't really feel any mental pressure to get it, even though I do like having all the on-color lands. I don't like breaking up cycles. But bad lands, being black and red, being the secondary and tertiary colors, me having the 2 green dual lands, it's really what the deck needs. Blood Crypt. So, black-red Shockland, Bloodstained Mire, Bog, don't get bogged down. City Brass, this is a new acquisition. So the life loss should be mitigated by the fact that I've got Essence Warden and Wellwisher in there. Or maybe the deck would just be so fast that it doesn't matter if I'm hurting myself very so often. I like that, Ed. I love some of these alternate art cards. Okay, Command Tower, naturally. Guiltleaf Palace. It's a Bayou if I show you an elf. It's a tapped Bayou if I don't show you an elf. Given that a third of the deck, 33 cards, are elves, I should always have an elf in my hand. High Market. No, you will not be Swords to Plowsharing that critical creature that I need. I would just send him to the High Market and drag him back out with Volrath Stronghold later. Ornreath the Vastwood. Maybe I'll take this out, so it comes into play tapped. It's slow. I only have 35 lands. I really can't afford too many slow lands. But I can tap it at a counter to every green creature that came into play this turn. Maybe it'll be irrelevant. Maybe I just won't want to track it. I'll prefer just to have the Lords, the Coat of Arms, and the Door of Destinies. So I'll see how that actually functions in this version of the deck. Overgrown Tomb, signed by Mr. Alexander. Reliquary Tower, because I should be drawing a lot of the cards in this deck. If it goes halfway right, I should be drawing a lot of cards, and I don't really want to be discarding most of what I'm drawing. Savage Lands comes into play tapped, but as a tri-land, I'll give it a go. Maybe I'll take it out because I just want speed in this deck. So it taps for any of the Jund colors. Stomping Ground, yeah, all of you know what it is, you know what it does, you've seen it before, blah blah blah. Taiga. So here's the other green dual. So I've got the two dual lands for this deck that produce the primary, the overwhelmingly primary color of green. Verdant Catacombs. So what I did is, since I've got the Onslaught Bloodstained Mire, I decided I wanted all the frames to match. So I got the MH2 Retro fetch lands. Wirewood Lodge, 1 green tap target elf. Pretty much what it's there for. Wooded Foothills, oh yeah, Onslaught. Okay, this is just here just because I had it. I thought it'd be fun to play with. I did not put the other two in the deck, the other two that complete this cycle. I don't know, I just didn't want to. And it only had this one from Dominaria. Gaia's Cradle. Look, I have 10 elves. Look, I have 10 green mana. I'm going to do something really nasty with it. Hammerheim, just because it's a mountain that removes land walking ability. Fortunately, it's not a mountain I can go find, but so be it. Volrath Stronghold. I'm surprised how cheap this is now. If you don't have any, go look it up on MKM, buy a couple. They're fantastic. Low-hanging fruit. Goes great in any creature deck with black in it. Yeah, my camera's about to shut off. So, Yavamayas.